Hello everyone for Epic News. This is Marcelo Palermo. Well, a week ago, we had already the two conventions on the book for 2020 elections. The Republican convention finished. It was also grandiloquent, but the Democratic convention actually had more audience. It actually beat the Republican convention for some millions of viewers. Still, some Trump administration aides said right after the convention, the Republican convention, it is for sure that a week after the president will be up on the polls. Well, that didn't happen. He's still trailing, and in most of the states that he was supposed to be at least tied or advancing a little bit more or even winning. The thing is, it's going to be complicated when it comes down to polls, but people are very skeptical about polls for what happened back in 2016. And although we all know Mrs. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote for 3 million votes, still, when we think about the system, the complex system that works here, or the way it is established here in the United States of America for elections, the Electoral College, you have to hit 270, the numbers of delegates that you need, the number of Electoral College votes that you need. And Mr. Trump got those votes. Of course, he won the election. Now, the situation might be different for the following reason. He had almost 4 years to govern. And those who are critical of his style, his administration, the way things are, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic hit and hit us real hard, that's actually changed the perception of many voters. Now, there's a problem with the polling system, and especially when it comes to mail. It is a lot of doubts and, of course, tribulations and questions regarding how the polling system, the mailing system, is going to work in this election. And there were a couple of things that have been said during the last week, especially by the president, that triggered some strife and, of course, arguments. And, of course, again, the perennial political problem and discussion and argument that is always raised up from the many things that happen during electoral times. But in this case, there was something very particular. The president said, vote twice. Vote by mail, and then go to the polls and vote. And of course, he was probably being figurative, but that's what his aides have been saying. But the fact is, later on, during this week, the Attorney General, Mr. William Barr, has been in a very prestigious news show, and he was asked about these things, and he was trying to justify the fact that every state, those presidential comments, with the fact that every state has actually different laws regarding voting. Well, yeah, while that is true, all of the 50 states are explicit in something, and it is that you cannot vote twice. It is technically illegal. Although the punishment might be different, or the way they will prosecute double voting, which is construed as a fraud, in different states might be different, there's something that is constant and persistent in the law, and I, trust me, reviewed and checked the laws of the 50 states when it comes to voting fraud or double voting, which is construed as a fraud. And it is that it is prohibited in every single one of the 50 states to vote twice. In some of the states, in 35 of them, it is explicitly prohibited. In many other states, around the rest of the states, it is simply prohibited. So it is forbidden to vote twice. It should construe a fraud if you go and vote twice. Did some people got away with it? You bet they did. And of course they did. Every system, it's permeable. Every system has its problems. But nevertheless, it is a fraud. Now, we are in a situation where COVID is advancing, not as bad as we were thinking. See, in America, we're not at 6,200,000 cases yet, not there yet. And we are almost at 188,000 deaths. The world is also advancing, unfortunately, but there are a couple of things that are interesting. the growth of COVID-19 cases have been a little bit less strong, let's put it that way, during the last, I'll say, 3 weeks, or throughout the last month of August. I'm sorry. What we have to know is that there's lots of expectations regarding the cure, regarding the vaccine and the treatments, specifically the vaccines. Some people are saying that the vaccine that the government is talking about, the one that should be here before November the 3rd, that is before the presidential election day, won't be exactly an effective one, because timing is of the essence when it comes down to vaccines and the preparations and the trials. And technically, we couldn't make it to that day to have a proper vaccine. So most of the specialists, people who are specialists, doctors and scientists who are specialists in the fields of virology, are saying that an effective vaccine will take between 3 to 6 months, which brings us to understand that probably to have a proper global system of immunization, we'll have to wait till mid-2021 or something like that, which is the kind of approach that most of the experts are actually inclining towards, because of how the situations regarding research and the trials, at what stages we are right now. Now, there's another thing that happened also, and it came down to some of alleged declarations from the president, who, according to an article in The Atlantic, written by a prestigious journalist whose name is Jeffrey Goldberg, a very renowned journalist who has been around for a good while, interviewed the most prestigious politicians in the country, in the world, a specialist in current affairs. He said that some very reliable sources told him that the president has spoken ill about those soldiers, American soldiers, who have been injured, captured, or killed in action. Well, we know what happened with John McCain. Evidently, John McCain and the president, especially the president towards John McCain, a war hero and a legendary congressman, Senator John McCain, senator from Arizona, who died last year at age 80 as a consequence of a brain cancer. Apparently, the president was razzled about the honors, about the flag at half-staff, about the funeral, the pompous funeral for a hero, for Mr. John McCain, who of course deserved it, as heroes do, people who serve the country. And he was questioning, according to this article, why he will have such a funeral, why he will have to be part of that funeral, to which he wasn't invited. Now, in a Twitter, the president absolutely denied all the accusations from this The Atlantic article, saying that he never said anything or never spoke ill regarding or towards the troops. According to the article, he would have said allegedly that those who were killed, captured, or wounded or injured in combat were losers. Another part of the article also said that the president loves military parades, but that he asked explicitly that when having a pompous and big military parade, wounded veterans should actually not be presented or exhibited, because it was, according again to the article, disturbing for the people. The president, of course, said that all of those accusations are lies and that he never said such thing. So I decided to do something, and I wrote a letter, an open letter to We the People, in which I asked to both parts, the personal and newspaper, The Atlantic, Mr. Goldberg, a renowned journalist, and his sources, to actually show evident and definitive proof of what they're accusing the president of. And of course, also, I call for the president to actually clarify what is this all about. He did it on Twitter, he did it on some press conference after coming out of Air Force One, the presidential airplane. But what I'm expecting when it comes down to something like this is a moment, a conference, an event in which actually both parts can exhibit the proofs that they have. It is actually not good for democracy to have all these crisscrosses of accusations and not know exactly where they come from. The country is absolutely divided as the world is divided, and it is something that we have to actually see and definitely try to fix. The point that we're at right now is a little bit way too complex, and we are on the verge of having a very important presidential election. That's why I will ask you again to form and inform yourself. Check both Republican and Democratic platforms, because what you're voting for is something that you have to be convinced about. This is the most important thing in a democracy, and not from now, but from always. Of course, we cannot fix the problems from the past. We had a very turbulent human history, all through the ancient times, all the way through Middle Ages, Renaissance, modern times, and still today. We keep on reshaping the world with violence, with turbulence, with hate, but also love for each other. Let's find the common ground more than the differences. And in the differences also the common ground. Yeah, it is very hard, and it even sounds corny. But you know how you do that? With knowledge. Keep on informing yourself. Keep on forming yourself and demand answers. If somebody says something about you that is not true, you're gonna call them out. That's the way things should be, especially in the public arena. So this Atlantic article, which I read, it has serious accusations for a president who, I believe, if he said such things, should be out of the office at once. When something like that happens, I think that it is pertinent for we, the people, for us to demand answers and demand, after all, we needed the truth. For Epic News, this is Marcelo Palermo. Thank you for watching. Remember, give us a like, check our videos. Marcelo Palermo and Álvaro Galdós, Epic News. We're here to form you and inform you, form ourselves and inform ourselves. We accept all sorts of critics and comments. And stay with us. We are going to stay with you. Thank you. Have a great day.